Hey, this is Ishar, and in today's talk, I want to go over the five mental faculties in Buddhism. So, these faculties are different qualities that are conducive to enlightenment. And these traits are also helpful to keep in mind during your meditation practice as well, just so you can course correct if needed. So, these faculties are number one, Saddhā, which means confidence or faith in the understanding of the teachings of the Dharma. The second quality is Viriya, which means strenuous effort. The third quality is Sati, which is mindfulness and constant mindfulness, rather. And then the next quality is Samãdhi, which in this context means deep concentration. And then the last quality is Paññã, which is insight or wisdom. One thing to note about these qualities is that they feed into the next one. So, for example, confidence feeds into effort. So if you have a good understanding of the teachings and you're very excited about it, you'll naturally start to imbue yourself with more energy and effort into your practice. Now, if you're able to sustain effort over time, then you'll develop this level of mindfulness and constant mindfulness throughout your practice and throughout your day as well, ideally. Now, if you have enough mindfulness, then your mind becomes very concentrated. So this leads to concentration. And lastly, if you're able to sustain concentration, then eventually you can start to gain some insights or you can switch over to insight practices. And if you do look at the Theravada model of Buddhism, the Buddha had talked about two different branches of practice. So the first is what is called shamatha practice, which is more concentration based and calm abiding, where you concentrate your mind so well that it becomes very sharp and undisturbed by different things outside itself. Now, once you're able to do that, then you're now in a position to start doing these wisdom-based practices or insight-based practices. So the wisdom comes at the end, where it's a culmination of different factors. So let's now go into these traits a bit more in detail. So the first is Saddhā, again, which is confidence or faith into the understanding of the Dharma. So what this means is just having an understanding of the teachings and where it's really headed. So if you don't have a map in mind or just a destination of where you're going, well, you'll tend to meander to different teachings. You may not have much confidence in what you're doing. So having a roadmap in place by different teachers that have taught before you and a whole system in place that dates back thousands of years is very helpful. So you can really understand the what you're going through here, and it also cuts a lot of the learning curve associated with any practice as well. So just having a good understanding of the knowledge of the teachings and why you're doing certain things is very helpful in your journey. Now, the next quality is Viriya, which is strenuous effort. So if you don't have enough effort in place or this quality of energy associated with your practice, well, then you'll start to nod off into sleepiness, or you may not give it your best, and you end up not really committing to anything. So energy is really required and a prerequisite for a lot of spiritual practices. Even in the yoga tradition, they talk about energy as well. So it's cited in a lot of different traditions, and it's a key component in your practice. The next quality is sati, or constant mindfulness. So you want to be alert and aware of what you're doing. So the difference between dreaming and actually being in meditation is a quality of mindfulness. So you want to be aware of what you're doing and seeing reality just the way it is. So if you don't have the quality in place, then it's almost like you're sleepwalking through life. So mindfulness is a very important quality to have in your meditation. Then the next is concentration. So concentration is very important, and it's talked about in a lot of spiritual disciplines. So it is a prerequisite or a building block for your practice. So it's the ability to concentrate your mind so well that you're now undistracted by things all around them. So this really contrasts the modern day living where we're so distracted by our phones and different things around us that we're unable to concentrate our mind. And with a meditative practice, we're able to concentrate and focus our mind to a one point in a degree in which now we can start to reduce the fluctuations of the mind. We're able to distill our practice a bit more and then now apply other practices if need be. So this is a very important quality. And then lastly, we have Paññã, which means wisdom or insight or understanding. And it's through this wisdom or understanding that we can now understand the nature of reality, the changing nature of reality, look into the emptiness of reality, and also how different things in your life won't really bring you that lasting happiness or satisfaction. So that's the gist of these five mental faculties. And one thing to note about these faculties is that they are balanced with another. Now, since there are five faculties, meaning it's an odd number, there's one quality that isn't balanced, and that is sati, or mindfulness. So you can never have too much of mindfulness. So mindfulness is always a good thing to develop and increase in your practice. But let's start with what is balanced. So we have saddha, which is confidence or faith in understanding of the Dharma, and that is balanced with wisdom. So it's all about balancing the faith you have in your own self, in your own, in the practice itself, combined with the wisdom of the practice as well. So if you just have a lot of the wisdom, say through book learning and just understanding different things, but you don't have the confidence in your own self, in your own practice, well, you tend to just have a lot of book knowledge, but it doesn't really apply to your life. So you don't have any basis of this understanding. It's similar to learning about martial arts through reading books, but then when you actually get into a fight, you get punched in the face, then you start flipping out and panicking. So having a strong basis in your own practice can really help you. But if you are only focusing on your practice and not really understanding or looking into the meanings behind the teachings and why this is very important, well, you'll tend to go around in circles or may not progress. And having a teacher is very important. Even monks who meditate for 6 hours a day have teachers that they talk to one-on-one in most of these traditions. So having a balance of both is very important to keep you in check and also understanding the meaning behind your practice as well. Now, the next qualities to be balanced are effort and concentration. So effort is Viriya and Samãdhi is concentration. Now, these faculties are very important, and you might have noticed this in your meditation practice itself. So if your effort is very high, meaning you are really putting a lot of energy in your practice, but your concentration is very low, so you're unable to concentrate, well, then you'll feel very restless because your energy is high, but your concentration is very low. So you're unable to focus the mind, you're jumping from one thought to the next, and you feel very restless, which in turn is actually one of the hindrances as well. So you do want to balance this out by coming back to your focus. Now, what happens if your concentration is very high, but your energy is low? Well, this is where you start to slip into sleepiness. And you might have noticed this when you're trying to meditate, and all of a sudden your head starts nodding back and forth, or you fall into sleep, or you think you're sleeping, and this is not good either. So there are different ways to balance out your energy or bring it up. So one of which could be rubbing your ears, or splashing water in your face, or coming back to your object of meditation more vigorously. Or in addition, you can go take a walk, so do walking meditation. And walking meditation is very important and used a lot in the Zen tradition, for example, or even Vipassana schools. So walking will help break up the monotony of sitting and can provide that little energy that you may need. Then we have the quality of sati. So sati, again, is just mindfulness and being alert all the time. And this, again, is in counterbalance because you can never have too much of mindfulness. So being alert all the time. Now, when you're starting off your meditation journey, you can probably sit for, say, 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and then afterwards, the rest of the day is kind of just a blur. You're not very mindful. But over time, if you can learn to practice, then you'll start to increase your formal sitting time. So maybe going from 20 minutes a day to an hour a day, and eventually 2 hours a day. So your seated practice is very strong. But then the next point from there is now applying that mindfulness off your cushion. So it's great that you can be very alert while you sit, but can you now apply it when you're doing other things like washing dishes, driving your car, going to get groceries, doing your taxes? So there's so many different scenarios where you can apply that level of mindfulness. And this is where your practice really starts to take off. So can you start to apply mindfulness, if you're not doing that already, in all aspects of your life? And the formal sitting is what stabilizes your practice, but then you need to start applying that outside your practice. And this will eventually lead to more understanding, insight, and awakening. So again, I hope you found this talk very helpful. These five mental faculties are very important in your meditation practice. And once again, as a recap, these faculties are confidence or faith, known as Saddhā. Then we have Viriya, which is effort. Then we have Sati, which is mindfulness. Then we have Samãdhi, which is concentration. And lastly, Paññã, which is insight or wisdom. So I hope you found this helpful, and let me know if you'd like to hear similar talks like this. Thank you.